You know, I had read someplace too where there was an article talking about black farmers was looking at going into the producing of organic food, saying that the market is much livelier. Is that true?
When you say lively, what do you mean? Lively meaning that the food is better for us, economically profitable?
Yeah, more profitable.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, if you're able to get your product labeled organic, and you have to understand, once again, perspective, you know, what does organic mean? And so for all intents and purposes relative to agriculture, it is an indicator that the food is not genetically modified, first and foremost. No pesticides were used on the product, on the end product, or actually in the growth of that particular fruit or vegetable. So that's organic, you know, relative to the marketing of food. And you have these agencies now that are the organic certifiers, you know. So it's like, okay, you have some land and you want to grow organic, but you still have to get approval.
Wow.
So, you know, so that's just the way it is until we set up our own. And that's it, until we set up our own, whether it be our own grocery stores, our own communities, where we are sustaining our own selves and feeding our own selves.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the answer to those questions.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
You going to stick with us, fam? Okay. All right. You know, it's just so funny. Like, as I was listening to y'all talk, just how the world is just turned upside down. You know, you figure that the norm would be natural food, that would be the norm. But you have to have a special category for food that's actually grown naturally. That is crazy to me.
That's only because somebody that has some authority thought of it. And so, you know, with that being said, you know, at what point does our blind submission to authority cease? You know, when do we come out of our comfort of ignorance, if you will?
Exactly. Did you hear? You might have heard about this, but the feds raided the Amish because they were selling raw milk.
Brother, that is one story. You know how they say there's 8 million stories in the city of New York? That is only one story. And if they're doing it to their own, imagine what they're doing to us. And this is what I'm saying, you know, as I was, you know, talking earlier on about some of the things, if you will, that has happened to our farmers. You know, just imagine in rural America, in backwoods, you got some farm service agency, you know, that's in some small building, and you as an elder, because the average age of a black farmer nowadays is like 68 years old. And this is 2010. So imagine they was going back and trying to get a loan in the 19 whatever. Nigga, get out of here. Period.
You know what? I want to give you a hypothetical. Let's just say that, you know, we get Steven Spielberg and James Cameron together. Let's just create a scenario where we get rid of the pioneers and the path marks in our neighborhood and whatever, and we try to drive them out of our neighborhoods. What would be needed in order to make that connection between the black farmers and the urban city dwellers?
So you have to have a lot of the front-line soldiers that would be willing to die first, because it will be a fight. And those who are left with the knowledge to make that idea come to fruition will have to be set up and protected to make it happen. And once again, we can label that as outcry.
So the first, the primary aggressors against this would be the feds.
Yeah, is it legal now to actually they're trying to make it illegal to grow your own food. There are bills on the floor as we speak that are saying that they do not want, and they are making it illegal for you to have a garden in your backyard.
Right. That's where they're all going.
There have been farmers that have been raided, if you will, and their equipment taken away because they have processing machines where they can separate, let's say, for instance, the wheat germ from the wheat or whatever it might be, or, just separators, take the seeds and debris from your product. So if you harvest your product and you don't have the equipment, you need to take it somewhere to have it cleaned, whether it be wheat or what have you. So a lot of those individual, independent processors, they've been jailed, threatened, to the degree that they said, it's not worth it for me to go to jail, and they just leave it alone.
Wow. Well, I'm dropping the link for the BFAA in the chat room, and specifically the link on Pigford versus Glickman, so people can get the backstory on that. But I want to bring in one last caller for you.
Yes, sir.
Last four digits, 6024. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace. Luminous Pass, Bay Area, California. What's going on?
Peace, family.
Greetings, brother.
Hey. What I was wondering about is earlier you mentioned that if you were making over $1,000 on your farm or, in your backyard based on crops, that the government defines that as a farm. And I was wondering if that gives them authority or jurisdiction to come in and start, calling shots. And if that's the case, I remember there's a major problem about, making like raw almonds or, producing raw almonds or raw nuts of any kind because they had to be pasteurized. And if you pasteurize the almonds, it takes all the nutritional. I mean, so is what you're saying about the $1,000 thing, does that give the government authority to come in and tell you what to do, or how does that work?
If I may answer your question relative to the authority of the feds, if you will, or government, and it may make you laugh. There was a time where Pluto was a planet. Am I correct?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Do I need to say anything else?
Exactly.
Pluto is no longer a planet, brother. And that's because we woke up one morning and it was in the newspapers or either on the television because somebody, some scientist, some group that was affiliated with our government said, you know what, Pluto is no longer a planet. They do what they want to do, but more importantly, they do what we are allowing them to do to us.